Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Halloween. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting for Wednesday, October 31st. We have 10 items on our agenda today. 9 of them are actionable. I have been asked to pull item number 8. Is there anyone that would like any other items pulled? Seeing no one, I'd be ready for a motion.
Move approval.
Consent is moved by Alderman Olson.
Second.
Seconded by Mayor Sipma. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Straight?
Yes.
Wolski?
Yes.
Sitma?
Yes.
Janser?
Yes. That takes us to item number 8, which is the donation of an explosive magazine storage container. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by the mayor,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Olson. Discussion, Alderman Wolski.
President Janser, thank you. Maybe a brief question for the Chief of Police. Chief, my only, I guess, concern question is the siting of this particular tool resource building. I don't want to know, I don't care to know, but I think it may be appropriate that, I don't know if these types of things require a special use permit or a conditional use permit or something associated with the Planning Commission. So just kind of wanted that on our radar as we move forward with citing it.
President Janser and Alderman Wolski, we will certainly check into that. We already have a magazine storage, so this would just be adding an additional larger one.
Gotcha.
And it is out of the city limits and out of the, I believe it's out of the extraterritorial as well. Okay. I can confirm that, but so
sure,
we could certainly check into it.
Certainly helps
Sure.
me feel a little better about it. So.
Okay, any other questions for the chief? Thank you, sir. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Call the roll, please.
Sitma?
Yes.
Janser?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
Yes.
Padragula?
Yes.
Straight?
Yes.
Wolski?
Yes.
That brings us to item number 10, which is a department presentation from the Public Works Department. Mr. Jonason, welcome.
Good afternoon, Alderman Janser, Mayor Sitma, members of the council. It's my pleasure to give you a brief update, and I do mean brief. I will go through it quickly so you can get home to trick-or-treating with your ghouls and goblins and grand ghouls and grand goblins. Basically, Public Works, as you might know or may not know, consists of actually 12 different departments. You can see them here. Today, I will be going over 4 of those departments, and at some future meetings, I'll give you updates on the remaining departments. First one I'm talking about is Rose Hill Cemetery. As you can see, established back in 1890, the land was purchased for $220, a little cheaper than land is going for nowadays. The oldest gravesite that we have in there is from 1888. That's actually in the St. Leo's section that is adjacent or part of the cemetery now. The St. Leo section was transferred to the city in 1960 for $1. We have over 22,000 burials in Rose Hill Cemetery right now, and our staff complete about 250 burials each year. Our personnel consists of our cemetery superintendent, Cleo Nicolaisen, and I might add that Cleo has turned in her resignation papers. In January, she will be retiring from the city, and we will certainly miss her. Cleo has done an excellent job filling in for Bonnie Ripplinger when she retired. We have 3 equipment operators that take care of digging all the graves, setting monuments, maintaining the cemetery grounds. And then, of course, in the summer, we hire some part-time help to help with the mowing. The cemetery itself is made up of about 60 acres of grave sites, about 10 acres of future expansion that we have that's rented to the Rainbow Gardens for gardens for the folks, and 16 acres of it is actually softball fields. Some of the buildings that we have on the cemetery, our office and shop, I don't think I need to go into detail on what that's used for. Pretty self-explanatory, but we have a chapel on there that is on the grounds, used for funerals and weddings, meditating, and recently we've added maps and lists of all of the folks that are buried in the cemetery in there. It's been very useful for folks that want to come in and locate grave sites. It's also saved a lot of our staff time on trying to answer a lot of those questions. The vault building, we have a vault that we provide coffined storage for some of the local cemeteries and folks that can't do burials in the winter. And part of it's used for equipment storage. Like I said, we average about 250 burials a year, set about 225 headstones, and the coffin bodies that are stored varies from year to year, but usually there's 25 to 50 bodies that are stored in there over the winter every year. Some of our improvements and accomplishments that we're kind of proud of in the cemetery, decorative fencing that's replaced some of the, I guess, ugly chain link fencing, I would say, has been a tremendous improvement around the cemetery. We work at that a little bit each year to replace sections as funding is allowed. Flower gardens and benches. If you look at the, I guess the picture on the far right side, I have to give credit to Cleo. She has created these flower gardens on all of her own time, after work, Saturdays and Sundays. She is extremely proud of Rose Hill Cemetery, as all of us are. Columbarium was added for cremations. Every year we participate with the Memorial Day program and the Wreaths Across America program, which is pretty popular in the community. Like I said, we created the name and location books for help people find their loved ones, and updated the garbage cans and new signage, and then replaced all the music in the bell tower, the Carillion Tower, through donations. That's all been upgraded. It used to be an old reel-to-reel system, believe it or not, and it's all been updated and plays music in the cemetery if you ever go through there and listen to it. The GIS is one thing that a couple years ago we've implemented. We've taken all the lots, plots on there and added all the burial information to it so folks can go online. Like I said, our staff does a lot of time, spends a lot of time with folks that are coming in that doing genealogy research and just looking, trying to find it. So this is an online source that we intend to expand and improve as time allows. Vehicle maintenance department is overseen by shop and transit superintendent Brian Harinka, and shop foreman. We have a welder, parts inventory person, 4 heavy mechanics, and a light mechanic. Vehicle maintenance maintains just about 780 pieces of equipment throughout the city. If you look at the national equipment to mechanic average, that's 90 to 1. Our equipment to mechanic average is about 155 to 1 on that. Like I said, we do about 2,300 repair orders every year, and that varies from oil changes, general service, to motors, pump replacements, a little bit of everything. We're a full service shop. The mechanics also do all the install of the police vehicles. If you recall last month, when the chief talked about the new vehicles that they get, there's quite a bit of equipment in there. I mean, it's essentially their office on wheels, and there's a lot of wiring and a lot of equipment that goes into outfitting one of those cars. It takes one of our mechanics about 160 hours or 1 month's time to outfit one vehicle. like I said, just some statistics on the different repair orders that we do each year, seasonals. A lot of our sweepers are pulled in and gone through from one end to the other, make sure that they're ready each spring. So every winter they come in and get gone through seasonals, along with a lot of our sanders, airport equipment, various equipment throughout the city. You can see the average cost to maintain the fleet throughout the city through our vehicle maintenance is around $700,000 a year. You can see some dips in there, or it was a little cheap a couple of years. There were some major repairs in 2013 and again into 2017, but a lot of that is, you'll see in a future slide, we were lacking mechanics in those years, so we weren't able to complete a lot of the repairs that needed to be done. They got kicked down the road. Some of our accomplishments, the shop expansion that just approved the final payment for today, but actually started in 2015. It's been a long, drawn-out project. Some issues with the builder and finishing things, or not the builder, but one of his subcontractors. But like I said, with the funding that the council provided, we were able to add on to the Public Works main building, the shop, and the street maintenance for a much-needed space we had there. 2018 is the first year in over 10 years that we've been fully staffed. We have all of our mechanics. Like I said, if you look back to the previous slide, you'll see that's why we were able to get to a lot more of the work and get it accomplished. This year, we also repurposed 2 of the old sanitation trucks. They pulled the packers off, shortened the frames, put the water tanks on it, and outfitted water trucks, one for our street and one for our sewer department for flushing. And just to note, we've had a 25% increase in our equipment over the last 7 years and 0 staff increase. So we're pretty proud of that we're able to try keep maintaining the equipment without adding any staff. Like I said, I guess it's almost like adding staff because we're always 1 or 2 short, so now we're full staffed. Some of our challenges, of course, keeping up with technology and software. Everything that comes in now from trucks and pickups and everything is all the troubleshooting's done with software, all the new technology. Even our street sweepers, to adjust the brooms on them, it used to be you turn a nut to adjust the broom up and down. Not anymore. You have to have software, have to have the computers to do the adjustments. So everything's getting a lot more high tech on that. So keeping up with that's been interesting. Competing with the private sector to maintain experienced staff, it's been a big challenge. Like I said, this year's the first year we've been fully staffed, and I just wanted to, I guess right now, thank the council for everything that you provided in the budget this year as far as the raises and all of the benefits. The folks at Public Works, all of our staff greatly appreciate that, and I know it's going to go a long ways towards retaining folks in the city. Like I said, looking at the equipment, 27% or over 200 pieces of our equipment throughout the city is over 20 years old. 35 of those major pieces of equipment are older than 1980, so almost 40 years old, some even older than that. Finding parts for some of this older equipment is getting to be very challenging. They don't have it on the shelf anymore. They don't even have it in a lot of the old boneyards to get used parts. So it's a challenge for them to try keep maintaining some of this equipment. Our property maintenance department is overseen by a property maintenance superintendent, Kevin Sickler. We have 3 senior building and grounds workers, 2 buildings and grounds workers. And again, thank you for the new position that we'll be adding in 2019, another building and grounds worker to help maintain our facilities in the city. As you can see here, basically they provide all the custodial services, maintenance, address all the service requests for various departments throughout the city, keep scheduled maintenance, respond to all the heating, cooling, lighting, plumbing, structural items, service all our warning sirens throughout the city. And just lately, we've taken on the task of maintaining the new parking ramps, which has been an adventure. But I think they're doing a pretty good job of getting them in a lot better shape and a lot nicer for the public to use. They also assist in securing all the flood properties that we've been buying out, help with the sales when they're advertised, showing the properties, and they maintain and purchase all the fuel for our central fueling system in the city, which is over 200,000 gallons a year. Just some of the accomplishments that they've done lately. The parking ramps, we've added some pigeon barriers to help keep the pigeons out of the ramps, keep it a little cleaner looking. Retool all our transit wash, replace the heat exchanger. As you might recall, this summer it got a little warm in here at some of the meetings because we had a heat exchanger go out. So that was kind of a emergency rush job to get that fixed. And lastly, lighting upgrades to a lot of our transit department, our shop, and our street department to add motion sensors. So when nobody's in there, the lights are off, and also switch them over to LED fixtures so they're more energy efficient and offer some cost savings. When we did our remodel or addition onto the Public Works facility, the old assessor suite was, I guess, transformed into an area for our transit department, street superintendent, property maintenance department personnel. So property maintenance did all of that remodel and build out of that area. One of the things that I wanted to highlight, because it's been a cost savings really for the citizens, when the expansion was done and we had to buy equipment for all of the training rooms that were added, all of the filing cabinets, everything for the addition, our property maintenance personnel found a company that had essentially used furniture, and a lot of it was reconditioned. If you look at some of the equipment that was bought, the list cost of that was over $87,000. We paid about $27,000, about a $60,000 cost savings in that by locating this furniture. Also, the workstations and the engineering side, they were all reconditioned with new fabric and color match cabinets, tabletops. Cost us $22,000. That price, new refurbished, was over $65,000. So total overall savings is over $100,000 on some of our additions, retrofits, work that we did out there. Some of the future projects for the property maintenance, expand our security camera system of the Public Works. We get quite a few individuals that like to sneak under, over, through, around the fence and get into the police impound area and our regular Public Works area, and take a little nap in the equipment or set up homesteading acts in there and live in there during the night. So we need to expand that. They're working expanding the drug evidence room at the police department and redoing and installing the heat exchanger at Public Works, so we don't have to suffer like you guys did this summer. City Transit, the last department I'll talk about. Again, Brian Harinka heads this up in addition to the shop. Rick Duncan is our shop foreman and transit foreman. We have an admin that also doubles as a bus driver, fill-in, light mechanic that helps fill in as a bus driver and takes care of a lot of the lighter maintenance on the buses, cleaning of them, keeping them respectable for our citizens that use our service. We have 5 bus drivers and then a heavy equipment or heavy mechanic that maintains all of our transit vehicles. As you can see, the vision statement provides safe, affordable, reliable transportation services for everyone. And the mission is have a complete transit system that supports, a broad range of trips for all of our residents, employees, visitors throughout Minot, and have a safe, clean, courteous transit service. And like I said, a cost-effective, safe, clean transit service. Some of our transit operations, we provide 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. service Monday through Friday on a half-hour schedule along 6 fixed routes. It's a flag stop system, so that means we don't have designated bus stops. You can throw your arm out and get on anywhere along the route or off anywhere you would like. We add morning and afternoon buses to deal with the additional students that are riding it. That's usually done with some of our temporary bus drivers' help that we have, and our transfer facility is located at the Minot Auditorium. Our transit operations currently funded over 75% by federal and state grants. So about only 25% of our operations comes from property tax or local funding. We have numerous fare options available for riders. Like I said, you can either do your single cash fare, day passes, 10 ride, 31 day rides, a lot of different options for the folks that want to use city transit. Excuse me. Some of the improvements that we've done over the years, in 2013 there was a comprehensive system analysis done, which came up with different short and long-term changes that they recommend to be implemented. A few of those things were integration of electronic fare box system instead of our old token system. Saves us a lot of time on having to count tokens every day and dispense tokens. Helps eliminate drivers having to deal with a lot of cash. It's basically there's a ticket now, so it's a lot more user-friendly, I'd say, or rider-friendly to use the bus system. In 2016, we added the ITS system, which was real bus time locations via either a phone app or through a website, but the phone app's called Route Shout. You can see a snapshot of that Route Shout here, so it's live. It tells you or shows you where the bus is and where it's going along the route. And like I said, it's increased our performance time to 95% along the routes. 95% of the time we're on time as scheduled, so we're pretty proud of that. And it has really decreased the number of calls to Public Works saying, "Where's the bus at? Where's the bus at?" So, in August of 2016, we went to our, I guess we call it our full-time transit system. Before that, we were part-time drivers, and it was only 8 hours a day. So we went to our 12-hour day transit system 5 days a week. It was a 33% increase in hours of service, 69% increase in miles that we cover, and only an 8% budget increase to complete this. 45% ridership increase in the adult fares from 2016 to 2018. So we've seen a real substantial increase in our adult ridership. Currently, like I said, we provide about 90,000 rides a year. We've added a new ticket vending machine at the auditorium. You probably saw the press release that came out, just been implemented. This is the first one of its kind in the state to be used. So Brian and his crew are on cutting edge technology again, or maybe they're the guinea pigs. I'm not sure. We'll see how it plays out, but we think it's going to be a good addition and provide additional service to the riders, an easier way for them to get their tickets since it's located right at the auditorium at the transfer service. Some of the things that we're looking at doing, if you see the new Minot City Transit, we're going to be rolling out this new logo. The old one's pretty old and pretty ugly. If you see the old CB, kind of greenish, I don't know, ugly. But Brian's come up with this one. So we're looking at rolling that out. Next couple of years as Trinity develops on the south end of town, we'll need to expand that route. So we're going to expand to from 6 routes to 8 routes, hopefully, and cover not only areas south end of town, but some of the growth areas in north side of town up towards the new Ramstead School. Improve some of the video monitoring so that we have real-time video monitoring on the buses. Right now we have cameras and it's recorded, but we'd like to have real-time monitoring on that. And with that, we would be able to provide Wi-Fi to the passengers as they use the bus system. The other thing that Brian has been working very hard on is expanding our bus advertising. You see in the picture the First International Bank and Trust. We hope to grow that over 10 years. If we can have one of our buses wrapped for that entire 10 years, it'll pay our cost share of a new bus, our 20% cost share. So we're hoping to garner lots of advertising on the buses and bring more income in. One thing I wanted to bring to your attention, doesn't seem like we, I don't know, are really good at tooting our horn in Public Works, but I have to say Brian has done an excellent job in the shop. And proof of that is he was recognized by GenFair. They are the ones that provide our ticket machine, vending company, and they have asked Brian to come to a lot of the national conventions and sit on panels and talk about his preventive maintenance program that he runs here, because it is, in their words, stellar, and he's a subject expert on this because he has extended the life of this stuff. Hardly any downtime on these vending machines or anything. So to Brian, thank you. I appreciate all that he does to keep this going and put mine out on the map with some of this notice. Finally, just a reminder, November 6th, Election Day, transit will be free for anyone to ride that day. We encourage everybody to use it to get out and to get to the voting location at the auditorium. And with that, I would answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for our Public Works Director? Alderman Straight.
Thank you, Chairman Janser. Dan, does the federal government force us to complete that comprehensive transit or system analysis every so often, or is that an in-house process that we go through?
I believe it was an in-house process that we went through. It was just, it hadn't been updated for a long time. Our transit plan hadn't been updated, so there was funding available to do it through the federal transit, so we took advantage of that.
Gotcha. And then how do riders give feedback on the bus? Just tell the driver, or do we have a different feedback system?
Do we have anything other than calling, Brian?
Generally, they just call into the office or pass feedback on to the drivers.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's something we could look at adding or including on there, maybe even as simple as having a Dropbox for suggestion cards or something for the riders.
I appreciate that. I'm just curious about, and it's a dollars and cents issue, but a flexible schedule on the weekends, even if it ends at 5 o'clock. In my past life, I used to ride the bus all the time, and for a lot of folks that, Monday through Friday is great, but on the weekends they like access as well. So I know it's something I'll look into for the future budget, because that's fun. So thank you, Dan.
Absolutely.
Alderman Wolski.
Thank you, President Johnson. Dan, I appreciate the presentation. Do our new automation system tickets, all these things, do they allow us to sort of have a clear picture of how many riders we have at a particular day in terms of averages? Are we able to sort of watch trends in terms of how many people are getting on, off, all those types of things?
President Janser, Alderman Wolski. Yes, there's also infrared counters on the bus that help us do that, so we can have a better tally of how many adults or school kids are riding the bus. So yeah, it has been a great benefit that way, because it keeps track of all of the, whether it's a school pass or if it's a adult or what type of passes, so it'll help log a lot of that information.
And that's it kind of readily available to us to be able to sort of recall and review and to observe what's
Yes.
going on. And okay. The other point I just kind of wanted to sort of call attention to and kind of invite your sort of explanation of how we pulled it off, because I think it's remarkable. But for us to have increased our service hours by half, added additional lanes, but only increased the budget by 8%. What magical wand are you waving around to be able to pull this off? Because I think we want more of that.
President Janser, Alderman Wolski, again, it's Brian that waved the magic wand. It's just a matter of I think all my superintendents are real good at doing as much as they can with as little as they can. You know, it's before it was all part-time drivers that we had. We were able to go to full-time. We did decrease the number of routes, but we still kept, I guess, a broad service area. And keep in mind too, before we went to the full-time, we ran a special service for students, which was teetering on the FTA guidelines of whether it was 100% allowable or not. I guess I'll leave it with that. So they put a lot of work into when they did the CSA study as to surveying the riders, looking at where the students were getting on and off at, and seeing if we could adjust our routes so that we made sure that we could still pick up that student ridership and not lose it, but decrease the number of routes that we were running. Just expand the routes, make them a little bit longer. I will say, Brian's in my office quite often when we have construction projects going on, going, oh geez, what are you doing to me now? You know, we have a 30-minute route, and you know, this is gonna cause me to go around here, and we're not gonna be able to meet schedule. So it's real tight. I mean, in the winter, when it gets slippery out, we start running behind. So it's tough meeting that 30-minute time now with the amount of personnel and buses, but we're still able to do it. In the future, you'll probably hear me asking for additional personnel, but as long as we can, we'll keep pushing to do as much as we can with as little as we can.
For Alderman Olson.
I have two unrelated questions. The first one is, do you have sort of an estimate of during the years when you weren't fully staffed and had to take vehicles to, you know, public, or not public, but other companies that would be doing repair work, is there a cost savings? Do you have that number when we're fully staffed as opposed to having to pay another mechanic? That's the first question. And then the second one is, how much time do we have left on Rose Hill before it's filled up with, you know, your estimate of the number of burials each year?
President Janser, Alderman Olson, I don't have a good number for you off the top of my head. All I can tell you is we can do services a lot cheaper than going to a shop. You know, if you were going to take, I'm going to use for example, we had an engine go out on one of the buses. You know, some of it was under warranty, so it was taken care of, but what did that engine cost, Brian? $22,000. You know, you could probably buy that engine for $13,000 and install it for a couple $1,000. So, like I said, we work a lot cheaper than the shops, but we don't have to have all the, I guess, profit and overhead that they do. So I can't give you a good number. As far as Rose Hill Cemetery, we still have quite a bit of an area to expand in. You know, right now the grave sites are on about 60 acres. Probably 50 of those 60 acres have grave sites on them. So we've got a good 10 acres there to expand. So I would say we have easily 50 years
Okay, good. Thank you.
in that.
Alderman Straight, did you have something?
Dan, I just wanted to say the Public Works recycling household hazardous waste collection areas, I think, are really well run. I want to commend you and the staff for that. And I had 3 trips to the landfill last week, and the folks at the scale have great customer service. So I did want to commend you on that. So
Thank you.
please pass that along.
Any further questions for the Public Works Director? Okay, seeing none. Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. That brings us to the end of our agenda today, and so we're adjourned.